Welcome to Panther Pourri, the podcast where we're supposed to talk Panthers hockey, but sometimes we don't. Presented by Florida Hockey Now. Here are your hosts, Jacob Langsam, Alex Lopez, and TJ Peterson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Panther Pourri, a Florida Hockey Now podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Langsam. Here with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Alex Lopez and TJ Peterson. And joining us today from Locked On Panthers, our good buddy, Mr. Armando Velez. Armando, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's a good morning here in South Florida. Unfortunately, the results weren't so good yesterday, but always grateful to join you guys.
Even though it was an afternoon game and ostensibly we would have had more time to record a game recap, it was kind of nice to let everything settle and get behind us to record the morning after. Plus, no one listens to podcasts on Sunday mornings anyway, so releasing this morning I don't think would have been best for our schedule. Look behind the curtain for you all. Yes, the Panthers dropped game 3 of their round 1 series against Tampa, final score of 5-1. Kind of an interesting mirror to game 1 in Tampa.
Yes.
Being the first game at home for either team, with the home team more or less dominating possession, but the away team just running away with a pot of goals. Really tough showing for the Panthers. The first period, I would say, was the best period that the Panthers have played all season. And then the team that played in period 1 disappeared from the ice.
Yeah. That first period should have ended 2-3-0, and instead it ended up 1-1. And you kind of could feel it in the sense of like, oh, you let Tampa hang around. You had a chance to basically end the series in period 1 of game 3. You didn't capitalize on it. Vasilevsky made some very good saves. You just didn't convert. And you go into period 2 tied 1-1, and it was a very lethargic, slow period with Tampa getting a late goal to take a 2-1 lead on another kind of broken play. And then the third period happened. The one thing I would say is different from game 1 is that I thought the Panthers were way more dominant than Tampa was in game 1. And Tampa's domination kind of was only about 5-6 minutes of the first period after that power play goal to tie the game at 1. Both games were very fluky. What I would say is, if this is how Tampa needs to win games in this series, I don't think they have much of a shot, because this happening 3 more times is very unlikely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons to not be panicking if you're a Florida Panthers fan. But at the same time, now it's 2-1. Now it's a series. I'm sure we'll get into it in more detail later, but now you have to actually wonder if Tkachuk is going to play in game 4. And we have a series now. If you thought it was going to be easy, you were wrong. There's a reason why none of the 3 of us in Mondo, I hadn't had a chance to listen to your post game 2 pod yet, but I'm assuming you didn't bury Tampa either after that game. There's a reason none of us buried Tampa and said the series was over after you took the first 2 on the road, because these are 2 of the 5 best teams in the NHL. It was never going to be easy.
Yeah, I predicted Panthers in 6 even before the series started. So I mean, I know they won the first 3 games last year of the series right before winning in 5 games. But I mean, you expected a type of response. I know the Lightning aren't necessarily the best road team as compared to home. But I mean, you think about for the Panthers, I mean, the pucks were going deep. The stretch passes weren't getting nailed for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that was for the Panthers. Just missed opportunities to add on to the lead and create more doubt for them. And then just when the second period happened, I mean, 3 shots for Tampa Bay in the first minute, and then nothing from either team in 5 minutes. It was just, this is where it's starting to get a little tighter in the series. I mean, we saw a lot of post-whistle scrums, but I think this is going to be a little bit of the, not necessarily last of it, but but we're in the meat part of the series now where you're getting it out of your system for both teams. So I think it's going to calm down a little bit as the series goes on.
I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think it's just getting started.
I think there would have been merit to that had Matthew Tkachuk not thrown that hit at Jake Gensel at the end of game 3. I think that hit, which I just want to make sure we are on record, bad hit, dirty hit, right, deserving of a major penalty. Not a smart play by Matthew Tkachuk, but it did send a message.
Here's how I feel. I think if that happens in a 2-2 game in the second period, that it's a 2-minute interference penalty. I think the reason that it is a major penalty is that it happens with clear intent of like sending a message, quote unquote. And the referees make the right decision to give him a major penalty to just manage the game.
I completely agree with you, TJ. I think that that hit is worthy of a major, but I think when you add in, hey, it's the playoffs, it's 2-2 game, are we going to really throw out a top 5 player on the Panthers on a late hit that really wasn't very violent?
I still think the answer is yes, to be fair.
Okay, if the answer is yes, I'm probably a bit pissed off about it today. Again, we also have to play in the realm of the Brandon Hagel hit never happened, because there's a lot of factors that come in here. But I do agree with TJ that it was very easy and the right decision to just say there's 5 minutes left in the game. It's now 5-1. Like, get the hell out of here, Chucky. Like, this was stupid.
That's true.
There was a lot of the cooling of the temperature type of deals in Game 3. I mean, the amount of times that guys were being pushed into the crease after whistles as well. Victor Hedman was one of them that was being pushed in. So there was a lot of the trying to take the temperature down for this one. So I believe that was another case of that for both of them, knowing that we are, like I said, we are in the meat of the series.
The where I'm going to disagree with you, Mondo, is the way the West messed that up yesterday. Is it felt like every single scrum they felt they had to award a power play, and you had players feeling aggrieved. Where it's like, perfect example with we'll talk about the first scrum where Evan Rodriguez, he gets pulled down by Anthony Cirelli, and like 5 seconds before that he gets popped in the face like after the scrums calmed down, and somehow the Panthers go on the PK out of that. And if you're a Panthers player, you're like, what the hell? Like, why are we on the PK after everything that just happened? And then 5 minutes later, we get another scrum, and that one looked pretty 50-50 as well. And Panthers get a power play out of it. You're not calming the temperature down when you're like, I agree with you that people need to be thrown in the box during these after the whistle scrums to get them to stop. But when you're awarding power plays out of it, they're just going to keep happening because the mindset is either, hey, we're due to get the power play the next time, or like, our guys just got thrown down and we got the penalty kill. Like, fuck this, I'm getting my retribution next time. I don't think the referees did a good job yesterday in terms of handling the emotion of that game. And I'm not here saying, oh, the Panthers got screwed by the refs or whatever. I'm just saying they didn't do a good job yesterday. And that's whether it was the temperature of the game or just Chucky responding to the Hagel hit, I just thought the refs did a poor job yesterday of keeping everyone in check, and it ended up where it ended up.
Breaking news. Alex thinks ref did bad job. In other news, fork found in kitchen and water found in ocean.
I found some salt in the ocean too, guys. I don't know if this is a new discovery.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
I mean, my bit is saying the Panthers got screwed, not the refs were bad.
I'll let Mondo chime in on that if he wants in a second. I just wanted to repeat something I said to Jake during Game 2, which is that you can't necessarily send guys to the box after a scrum. Not even just like there can't be a power play every time, but you also can't reward like behavior that's trying to get a response. Like, otherwise, every time a fourth line is up against the first line, some guy like Gage Gonzalez can go up to Sam Reinhart and slash him in the knees. And if he gets a response, all of a sudden he's going to the penalty box, but so is Sam Reinhart, and the Lightning win that trade every time. And, the Panthers can do that too with Nico Sturm doing it to Braden Point, or actually that's a bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't I say that to you also? Because I think there was like a Lundell doing something to Point, and I was like, as much as I love Lundell, I obviously take that trade every time. Maybe it wasn't Lundell, but like it was someone of that ilk.
Yeah,
there was the Cirelli throwing the helmet of Sam Reinhart during the game. There was that one where that one was more than deserved.
Reinhart. Yeah. Underrated mean streak player. If you piss him off, like what I'll say about Sam Reinhart relative to that, he doesn't seem to have a middle ground of anger. He's either completely calm or completely enraged.
And I know we've moved off the Tkachuk thing and we're going to get back to it, but am I the only one who saw that the whole scrum was started by Tampa hitting Jones in the back after the horn blew?
I doubt you're the only one. We were on the wrong side of the ice to see it that way, but
it happened directly in front of me. Like Jones
yeah.
cleared the puck, the horn blew, and all of a sudden he gets a cross check in the small of the back, and here we go. And like when you heard, like I guess like the talking heads on TNT were like, "Oh, the Panthers started that brawl trying to get it evened up," and I'm like, what? Like, what are we watching here?
This all feels obligatory, like there's no emotion in the post whistle scrums. It feels like you just feels like they're just doing
I don't
it
think
to do
that's
it,
true at all. Especially not in a series like this where both teams very clearly hate each other. Yeah. I think there's a ton of emotion in those scrums, at least in this series.
I mean, there was even before everything happened. I mean, there was a point where Tampa was offside, and then right as the horn blew, right before TV timeout, a quick skate from Matthew Tkachuk to Yanni Gord, just a little chirp, and then right back to his bench. So they're playing a little mind games in between all the whistles. So you're seeing it from play to play, even if the cameras aren't necessarily panning to do them. So I looked up at the TV in the press box to see if they showed it, but they didn't. It's something that you have to see like in person.
But let's get back to the Tkachuk hit. Obviously it's getting compared to the Hagel hit, which I think is absolutely stupid. But I understand why it's being compared because it happened in back-to-back games in the same series. But to me, the hits are completely different. But let's just talk about Tkachuk's hit. It's 4-1.
The score of the game is 4-1.
It's 4-1. There's 5 minutes left. Jake Gensel, passes the puck, admires his pass because he knows the game's ice, but he knows it's really ice now because he's made the play to chip it, and it's going to be an empty netter 5-1, and they've taken game 3. He's admiring his pass. Tkachuk, absolutely late, hits him. Square in the chest. Yeah, blossom. Square in the chest. No head contact. Doesn't leave his feet. In all of the sense of the words, if Jake Gensel has the puck, it's the cleanest hit of all time. But Jake Gensel didn't have the puck. He had passed the puck. A second or two had gone by, enough that it is absolutely interference, and it's a penalty.
For the record, enough time had passed that I saw Tkachuk coming in after the pass and had a thought of, oh no. Like it was enough time for us to notice in person in real time that hit was about to be bad.
Yeah, this was clearly avoidable. It should have been avoided. Like we talked about after game 2, the time to respond to the Hagel hit is the regular season, not game 3. Especially now you put yourself in a position where you might miss game 4, but he blasts him.
Yeah.
To now make the comparison to the Hagel hit on Barkov, there's one key difference. And if you actually watch the Department of Player Safety, or two key differences, if you actually watched the video from the Department of Player Safety, the thing they mentioned again and again is that Barkov never had the puck.
Yeah.
NHL Review on Twitter, you clown, are you listening? Barkov never had the puck. The last time he touched the puck was at the blue line, 30 feet away from where he got hit. Hagel can say all he wants that he didn't see that Barkov never touched the puck. It doesn't matter. The onus is on you.
Right. It does matter, but not for the reason that Hagel thinks it matters.
Right. It doesn't matter
because he's lining him up the whole time because he had violent intent rather than intent to make a hockey play.
And Hagel gets part of Barkov's head. It's not the principal point of contact, but he makes head contact. But the key is, if Hagel's watching the play rather than lining up Barkov, everyone can see that Barkov never comes close to playing that puck, and he's not eligible to be hit.
I had a ton of Tampa fans in my mentions yesterday basically saying what Hagel did was okay because he thought Barkov had the puck, which would have made it a clean hit. First of all, no, it wouldn't have. But second of all, if you're trying to defend Brandon Hagel by saying that he assumed Barkov had the puck, what you're saying is Hagel lacked the situational awareness to know or care where the puck was because all he cared about was hitting Barkov, which is also a penalty.
He didn't want to know where the puck was. His only goal that entire play was to blow up Barkov, which is what he did. And if you allow that insane logic of, oh, I thought he touched the puck, Well, Tkachuk, now you literally open up Tkachuk in his theoretical, which it hasn't even been announced yet, so I doubt he's getting one. His Department of Player Safety review saying, I'm sorry, I thought Gensel still had the puck. I thought. You can't suspend me. I thought he still had the puck.
I hope he doesn't do that, to be fair.
No. I'm not saying he's going to, because it's such a stupid argument. Yeah. Like, you can't just say, oh, the player said he thought the guy still had the puck, so therefore it's not as bad as we all see it is. That's not how this works. The responsibility is on the player laying the check to know whether or not the player he wants to hit is eligible to be hit. And in that one, Barkov wasn't eligible to be hit for a good 5+ seconds because he had touched the puck at the blue line.
Right. And again, Gensel also not eligible to be hit in that moment.
Not eligible, but it's a lot closer than the Barkov one. You see late interference hits all the time. You don't see the Hagel hit on Barkov ever because people you're watching the play in front of you and you know what's happening. This wasn't complicated. This wasn't.
Let me put it this way. Jake, I don't know how much Alex will relate to this. Jake, Mondo, and I, we've been to a fair few punk concerts. We've been to a fair few mosh pits. If Brandon Hagel
not my 30s though.
You've been in one. And if Brandon Hagel does to Barkov, if he does the same thing to somebody in a mosh pit, it's going to start a fight. If Matthew Tkachuk does to what he did to Jake Gensel in a mosh pit, it's normal because that's just the kind of contact that it's really not it doesn't cause injury. It's something that people do to kind of let off steam a little bit.
Which, by the way, that's the second key difference between the two hits. Hagel's hit knocked Barkov out of the game and into concussion protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Tkachuk's hit didn't.
Back up. So, and here's the thing. Tkachuk took like one or two steps. Remember, let's flash back a little bit to game 1 of 2021. Sam Bennett taking that run, I believe, at Ross Colton, I believe it was.
I hope so.
I think that's right.
He was coming all the way from the neutral zone. That was like at least 10 strides. So
yeah, he charged him big time.
Big time. But that was worthy of a suspension. But this is 2. You still have. I get it. It's unnecessary for Tkachuk to lay that on Gensel, but the logic of had the puck before the pass still applies there.
Right.
That it's not suspension worthy, in my opinion.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just a gulf of a difference between guy who never had the puck and guy who released the puck. Yeah. 2 to 3 seconds before, and that's probably stretching. It was probably more 1 to 2. But again, it's the fact that people are comparing this and saying, "Oh, you're going to suspend Hagel, you have to suspend Tkachuk."
No, you don't.
People even arguing that the Tkachuk play is worse because he saw that the puck was passed. Like you're just trying to twist your mind into a pretzel to be a complete fucking moron.
What I would say to that is, if you're really going to stand by Hagel thought Barkov had touched the puck,
clearly not looking.
I can see that logic being Hagel thought what he was doing was completely fine. Tkachuk knew that Gensel didn't have the puck.
Okay.
That's the logic that I can see behind that. It's stupid, but I don't think the mental gymnastics to get to that are all that complicated.
If we're gonna use this dumbass logic of Brandon Hagel thought Barkov had touched the puck, so it wasn't as bad as it looks. Even if you pretend Barkov touched the puck at that point, the difference between Barkov mythically touching the puck and getting hit is about the same as Gensel and Tkachuk.
Neither could brace themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe Gensel a little bit more than Barkov there, but only difference is the puck.
The difference on that one, and I know we're now getting into splitting hairs, is Gensel made the classic move of admiring his pass.
Yeah.
And
he had no idea Tkachuk was coming.
But that's also on Gensel.
Right.
If Tkachuk is on time with that hit, it's the cleanest hit. If Tkachuk is there a second faster, the exact same thing happens, and no one can say a word. It's Gensel, get your head up. Why were you admiring
I think
your
that's a
pass?
really interesting angle to look at this, actually. If Tkachuk's hit is on time, it's a heavy hit, but it's clean. If Hagel's hit was quote-unquote on time, assuming Barkov did have the puck, it still probably starts a scrum between the teams because the hit was high.
Yeah. Well, both of them are going to start a scrum because basically any hard hit starts a scrum in today's NHL, regardless of if it's clean or not. But Barkov never had a reason to prepare himself for a hit because he never had the puck. Jake Gensel had the puck and literally watched it. He never put his head up. So at some point, and I know again I'm splitting hairs, but like if Tkachuk's a half second faster, he gets blown up, and all the hockey men are being like, "Keep your head up, Jake. Keep your head up, Jake." I mean, it's still a predatory hit that I don't think really has a place in the modern NHL.
Agreed.
But by the letter of the rule, it's not a penalty if Tkachuk's a half second faster. There's no point in the Brandon Hagel hit that it's considered not a penalty because Barkov never had the puck. Yeah. And that, again, is the key difference. And that's why if you suspend Matthew Tkachuk, the only reason you're doing it is because, well, we suspended Brandon Hagel. The hits are not the same, and you're a fucking moron if you think they are.
Okay, I think we have belabored the Tkachuk point enough. So the next big thing that there is to discuss from this game is it was Aaron Ekblad's first game since March 10th. He has served all 20 games of his PED suspension and came back to the Panthers lineup for Game 3. How do we think he did? Armando, let's start with you on this one.
I didn't think he had a bad start. I mean, they were working the puck to him back to the blue line quite a bit offensively, but a few of the goals, it was a result of errant passes out of the D zone, and I mean, right before they scored that second goal, I mean, they were having a hard time getting the puck all the way out the ice and clean changes, and then you think about from Aaron Ekblad and that errant pass, I mean, that results in that give and go that eventually was scored by, I believe it was Nick Paul, yes, Nick Paul there, and Anton Lundell also loses track of him there, so get it out of the way now. That's hopefully when looking back at it, that's the mindset for Aaron Ekblad, that it's just like, hey, just one game. They spotted me a few games up in Tampa, and hopefully there aren't those many mistakes coming down in the series later on. So not the best final 40 for Aaron Ekblad and Gustav Forsling, but they played together. They bounced back multiple times.
Yeah, I'm not concerned. It wasn't the best game. That second goal, you might as well call it a power play goal, because that was a situation where the four skaters on the ice had been on the ice for basically the whole 2 minutes because of the long change. Like, I know people were getting on Lundell for not back checking, but like they were all exhausted, and you could see it. And I could like, as soon as they didn't get that clear all the way down right after the power play was over, I literally had a flashback to when it happened in the Stanley Cup Finals with McDavid. I was like, uh-oh, this is a problem. Exact same thing, where it's like long change, long hard penalty kill, four tired guys on the ice plus a fresh skater. And that's exactly what happened. Tampa came down, caused a turnover, came down and scored off the rush. I mean, it was a kind of fluky goal, but like, it was four tired guys on the ice that gave a lot of open space to fresh Tampa players, and they capitalized. Again, Tampa's a really good team. You're not playing Ottawa. You're not playing Montreal. You don't have the margin for error that, Toronto and Washington do. You give a good team like Tampa a little bit of an opening, they're going to take it. You weren't going, like, games 1 and 2 were not going to repeat themselves, where every time Tampa had a premium scoring chance, the puck fell off their stick or they missed the net. Like, it wasn't going to happen for 4 straight games.
Puck is going wide before knocks it in, though.
Yeah, that is true. That the puck on its initial shot was not headed for the back of the net.
I think it was deflected by Ekblad, but the only other thing that I wanted to say about that is I think that there's an opportunity for Lundell to just like swipe at the puck with his stick and get it clear.
I said that to you in the moment. I was like, what the hell is Anton Lundell doing here?
I didn't know if you were going to bring it up, so I brought it up. But if you
I probably wasn't going to bring it up specifically, but yeah.
That's why he's tired, trying to get back into
it was a long shift. It was the end of a long shift for the Lundell line. It was at the back of a penalty kill as well, I believe. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, you see Lundell kind of meandering with the puck around him, and he fails to get it all the way down the ice. Maybe he didn't know whether or not the penalty had ended. Maybe he was afraid of getting called for icing. So he doesn't whack at the puck. Like, I'm not saying get a nice controlled clear. I'm saying just take a whack at it and try to move it. And he just kind of sits there and does nothing to the puck, and that was the result.
Yeah, not the best game for him overall. Not that anybody really, other than, and we'll get into a couple of things that are related to this. The one player that I think played out of their skin in this game is Evan Rodriguez, who was brought back up to the second line, and I thought he had a fantastic game. He probably deserved to get multiple points. He did get 1 point on the opening goal, and he was effective defensively as well. The thing that we're talking about this to compare to, I guess, is that that's normally Mackie Samoskevici's spot. And I pointed out a play that happened in game 2 where Braden Point is going in on goal and Mackie is just kind of gliding in the play. Point appears to be his man that he's not covering as a potential reason why later in the game we saw Mackie on the fourth line. And in this game, he started on the fourth line and it was later demoted to the second power play.
Was later demoted off the power play
off
entirely.
The power play as well.
Fellas, what do we think about this?
Honestly, I'm of the mind that if Tkachuk is available for game 4, I'm of the mind that you healthy Mackie for a game. I think he has been that bad.
This is where having all of this depth comes into play. Where look, if you're not going to play Mackie in the middle 6, you have to scratch him. He's not fit as a fourth liner. That is not his game. It doesn't work. Thomas Nosek, AJ Greer, Jonah Gadjevich are much better suited for the fourth line. So if you're not going to play Mackie in the middle 6, you scratch him.
Right. If you're not putting him in positions where he can use that speed and get a goal or two, see also top 9 in power play, don't play him. Like, right. I don't want him to get fourth line touches. I want him in the position where he is best suited to succeed, and that is not the fourth line 5-on-5 minutes with no power play time.
And with the fourth line, those are your checking guys, your heavy hitter guys, guys to get your top 9 a little bit of a rest there as well. And if you're not going to put him there, insert a guy like AJ Greer who's going to help get the puck and deep into the zone and help waste a little bit of time right before getting the Barkov line back on. So I just it's just but hey, the fact that Carter Hage's back on that top power play unit, even though he has struggled this year, I mean, hey, maybe this is the time for him to like get things right for his game as well. And I was surprised. Paul Maurice did talk about the usage of Aaron Ekblad and saying that he wasn't gonna put him on the power play immediately, which you take these press conferences with a grain of salt, but I thought, it was a lot quicker than I thought of seeing Aaron Ekblad be back on the power play, but for him on power play 2, being listed on that right flank for him taking, even though they never fed him for a one-time, but interesting to see Mackie taken off completely. But Paul Maurice did say that Mackie is he's still learning this type of speed when it comes to playoff hockey and heavy hitting. So, maybe this is a chance for him to. I know this isn't the time of year to learn, and that's for what the regular season's for. But I'm just very interested to see which direction they go when it comes to Mackie, because I don't want him on that fourth line. I want him somewhere in the top 9.
Right. And I think that's a really salient point that we need to remind everyone. This is Mackie's first NHL playoff experience. He didn't play on the NHL roster during last year's run. I think he was formally on the roster. I think he did make the playoff roster, but he was a black ace.
He was a black ace.
Right. This is his first NHL playoff experience. We do have to keep that in mind. He is learning how to play NHL playoffs. And he needs to learn it, but I don't want him to learn it from the fourth line with no power play time.
Yeah.
Win a cup.
This is one of those situations. Young guy in first playoff series isn't ready for the moment. Anton Lundell's first playoff.
Yeah.
He got a healthy scratch because it was too big for him. Now Mackie's a little bit older, but like he's just not ready yet. Through 3 games, he's not ready yet. Not the end of the world. Doesn't mean he's a bust. Doesn't mean anything. It's just, hey, we got other guys that you can slide in there, and don't do the same thing as Mackie. Don't bring Mackie speed, but there's things that can be done.
There is one more player that I do want to shout out. I know TJ said that there was only one guy who played out of his skin, I think there are two. And I want to give a huge shout out to number 3, Seth Jones. Seth Jones, who played most of his 5-on-5 minutes against Cirelli, Hedman, and Kucherov. His stat line for game 3, 21 shot attempts for, 5 against. 11 unblocked shot attempts for, 1 against. 9 shots on goal for, 1 against. 1 goal for, 0 against. 99% XG share against Cirelli, Hedman, Kucherov. And Gonsalves and Perbix, to be fully transparent, but still. He's playing against heavy hitters in game 3. And he and Nico Mikkola dominated them. The only D pair with a positive 5-on-5 goal differential.
Yeah, I'm looking at his on natural stat trick. Every single shots for percentage for Seth Jones, there was only 2 guys under 50%, and it's because they only had 1 shot against on Seth Jones, Braden Point and Jake Gensel. Everyone else, it was over 50% or over in favor of Seth Jones.
Yep.
Anthony Cirelli, 7 shots for, 0 against. Connor Geeky, 5-0. Eric Chernak, 2-0. Gonzalez, 2-0. So pretty good for Seth Jones of just getting the puck out of their own end and keeping it out.
Yeah. So I think that Jones Mikkola pairing is gonna stick here. Even if you don't think Ekblad is ready for first pair minutes with Gus Forsling, maybe he doesn't need to be. Maybe they can play second pair minutes for a minute because Jones and Mikkola again played most of their 5-on-5 time against Kucherov and Hedman. Like, all right, cool. We have 2 first pairings now.
I mean, think about it like this. And towards the end of the regular season, they even put Kulikov on that top pair with Forsling to give Mikkola and Seth Jones a little bit more time together. So that was the thing about roster management for Paul Maurice and staff of just how, hey, we might not have the full complement of players, but at least we have these 2 because defense pairings are a little bit harder to learn how to mesh together. So given that time that they did, help them even in a loss.
You lost a game where Tampa kept scoring against the pace of play. The Panthers were the team having pucks fumble off their stick and premium scoring chances.
Yeah.
And Vasi played extremely well when the Panthers did have, he stopped 14 of 15 high danger chances. That's insane. So, that wasn't a game where you got goalied, but you didn't lose because you got goalied. You lost because you couldn't, you lost because you gave up scoring chances. You gave up a goal every time you gave up a scoring chance.
Right.
And it happens.
You still got scored on 4 times with your goalie in net.
I was just thinking about all the times that they missed grade A scoring chances, even in this game. I don't remember who fanned on the wide open net from the point, but there was that guy who did. And there were a few other great chances that they missed, who had the wraparound.
Oh yeah,
and they tried to pass it instead of just shooting on the wide open net as well.
Yes, I was gonna say it was 14. Number 14 for Tampa was the wraparound.
But even Brad Marchand's had a few scoring chances, and he's been a little snake bitten for him.
Yeah.
And you know who missed a couple of scoring chances in the game after he got notably hit in the head is Sasha Barkov.
So hopefully we see things kind of level off here for the rest of the series to get a more realistic view of what a Tampa Florida, although maybe you could argue that the way the series has gone is a realistic view of how a series like this should go. Yes, not necessarily gotten in the way you would expect, but 2-1 is definitely the correct series score. So we'll see you for Game 4 on Monday night, folks. Good night, everybody, or good day, everybody, and go Panthers.